One of the huge themes in working with people with troubled relationships is blame. Everyone's pointing the finger of blame at the other person. And a perfect example of that was a man who was referred to me. He came down to Philadelphia from New York for treatment, and he'd been referred by his psychiatrist there, thought he needed more than just drugs. And so I began working with him, and he said, Dr. Burns, the real problem in my life is the fact that my wife doesn't seem to treat me in a very loving way, and I have no idea why. And she goes out and she spends money, runs up a big bill on the credit card, but she doesn't even tell me about it. And at the end of the month, I've got all these bills. And isn't that irresponsible for her to do that? Wouldn't a loving wife at least, talk to you about these things? And when we go out for dinner, she doesn't, brag about me with my friends, and she doesn't want to have sex with me. And she's really been a disappointment from the very beginning. And he brought a journal, and every day he would write down the things that were wrong with her. Like he brought his journal in, and he said, we were vacationing at the Grand Canyon, and it was hot. And I said, it was over 100. And I said, let's turn on the air conditioner in the car. And she says, no, we have to roll the windows down. Now, isn't that stupid, Dr. Burns? If in Arizona, if you roll the windows down in the summertime, all this hot air comes in. Now, why would she say something so stupid? And why is she always contradicting me? And his idea of coming to sessions was to bring this book. And he would read it all session long and just say, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? And I got to thinking, this doesn't even seem like psychotherapy. Where is this going? What's the point of this? And he just seemed to love to complain about her. And so one day I had this idea, and I said to him, let's just call him Ed, just to make up a name and kind of protect his real identity. I said, Ed, I've heard that there's mafia in New York, and let's imagine, I want to give you a really weird thought experiment. Imagine that the mafia comes to you and they tell you, we have a special proposal for you. We've taken $50,000 and we've put it into an escrow account. And let me start my story a little bit. Let's say even before the mafia comes, let's just say your wife turned into the ideal wife. She's beautiful, she's loving, she brags about you, she wants to have sex with you all the time, she just thinks you're terrific, and she's not, crabbing at you the way your wife does. It's the woman of your dreams, and you're as happy as can be. And then the mafia comes to you and they say, we have this deal. We've put aside $50,000 for you, and you have 1 month to ruin your marriage. And if you can ruin your marriage in 1 month, we'll give you that $50,000. But here's the catch. If you fail to ruin your marriage, we're going to give it to a hitman who is going to blow you away. So I said, for homework this week, see if you can write down 5 or more things you could do to ruin your marriage and save your life and make $50,000. And he got all excited about that. And boy, he was real eager to do his homework. And the next week, he brought me this list of 10 things I could do to ruin my marriage. Number 1 on his list, he said, my wife's father was a violent alcoholic, so she hates liquor. So one thing I could do is, on the way home from work, I could stop at the local bar and have a martini or 2. And then when I got home, she'd smell liquor on my breath. And when she commented on it, I could just tell her, don't be so uptight, and pour another martini right in front of her eyes. And that would upset her incredibly. And then a second thing I could do is she's not the brightest person. She spent 2 years at a junior college. She never finished her regular college. And so she feels inferior. And so when we go out to dinner with other couples, she watches CNN or tries to read up on political things and Time magazine or whatever, so she'll have something to mention in conversation, so they'll think she's intelligent. And what I could do when she does that, I could make a sarcastic comment, pointing some error in her reasoning, and make kind of put her down that way in front of our friends in her most vulnerable area. And then when the kids come to me and complain, say, "Oh, Mommy is making us do our homework, Daddy, and we don't want to," then I could sabotage her and say, "Well, don't listen to your mama. If you don't want to do your homework, you don't have to do your homework just now." That type of thing. And he had all 10 things on this list. And then I said, "Now, how successful do you think this would be? Do you think this list of 10 things, if you did them, that would ruin your marriage?" And he says, "Oh, yes, Dr. Burns, even one thing on this list would be enough to ruin my marriage." And then I said to him, "Now, tell me in all honesty." Oh, wait, another thing he said, I forgot. He said, when I'm in sales, I go out on business trips all the time, stay overnight, and I could come home with lipstick on my collar, show tickets in my pockets, so she would catch on that I'm having affairs with my girlfriends all over around the United States. That would break her heart as well. And I said, if you did all of these things, or even one of all of these things, do you think you'd save your life and ruin your marriage? She said, "Dr. Burns, even one thing would do that." And I said, "Okay." And then tell me, how many of these things are you doing already? And he says, "Oh, all 10, Dr. Burns." So here's a man who's doing things, by his own admission, are intended to hurt his wife's feelings, to put her down. And he does them every day, breaks her heart over and over. And then he says, "Why doesn't my wife love me?" And, maybe you can figure out the answer. But that's the whole basis of the interpersonal therapy I do, is are you willing to look at your own role rather than blaming that other person, because that's where you'll find the answer in almost all cases to your conflicts with loved ones, with friends, with colleagues. And if you're interested in this theme, there will be a lot more to come. I'll show you how to do that in a step-by-step way. So thank you an awful lot, and hope you have a good one.